always tell when Meghan McCain is using her own talking points versus when she's using her husband's talking points, because at least as insanely as her husband's talking points are, I mean, at least she kind of is prepared or seemingly prepared. But now it's like when she is on there on her own, she's like, well, I sort of watched this or I've sort of read this. She doesn't read. I mean, Anna Kasparian from TOIT pretty much exposed her ass. She don't read at all. Hi, welcome to JOA. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe and click the bell so you'll be the first to know when I upload. I know you love me, that's new. I really appreciate if you subscribe and click the bell. Icebreaker question: why the hell does the Republican Party keep bringing up gas prices? We're going to talk about that. And do you think Whoopi schooled her ass today on The View? Let me know in the comments below. I'd appreciate your support for my channel at patreon.com/JOA. JOA. Times are hard, y'all. I'm trying to buy me a new camera, so I really appreciate if you can donate $5 at least a month to my Patreon page. I'm also subscribed to my new channel, JOA TV. I want you guys to watch this clip, and I'll come back with some more.
Restrictive new voting laws has people taking extreme measures. The Texas Democratic lawmakers fled the state to stop them from passing the vote. And yesterday, President Biden made a passionate call to fight similar laws in 17 states, which are all based on you-know-who's false election fraud claims. And so, Meghan, I heard what Anna said in terms of, whether GOP minds will be changed by this. But I want to ask you the same question. Do you think he made any impact on GOP voters?
I don't think so, because I think what Sarah said is the most valid point in all of this. 76% of Americans are in favor of showing an ID to vote. So the narrative that it was somehow, akin to, I believe they were saying Jim Crow laws to show an ID to vote is just not something that the American people is buying. That's not just a majority. It's a super majority of Americans that are okay with showing an ID to vote. Look, I watched part of the speech last night, and all I have to say is that the biggest news coming in America right now is that consumer prices rose by 5.4% in June, which is the highest level of inflation in the United States of America in 13 years. What does that mean? It means that everything's getting more expensive. It means that gas prices are getting expensive. It means that to buy a thing of lumber now is much more expensive than it was a year ago. And going to the supermarket, there are going to be price hikes. And that's really what Americans respond to traditionally in politics more than anything, is when it starts really hitting your bottom line and life becomes more expensive and people can't afford to do the things that they could do before inflation. That's what's going to get people motivated on both sides. And I think that's the biggest thing that Republicans should be hitting home coming into midterms.
I've been listening to all of the stuff that Joe's talking about, and no one should ever stop fighting for this. This isn't a shift that we didn't need. So all the folks that left Texas and went to Washington to slow down the vote where they come from. And as it turns out, there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud. Republicans are offering a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. The party is complaining about, bureaucracy and red tape. These are the guys that say this is the stuff they don't want. You're creating criminal penalties and requirements for folks who assist voters in some states. There's a ban on drive-through voting. I mean, I'm not sure what all of this is for. It seems people are taking a lot of, a lot of crazy changes for things that aren't wrong. People actually came out during the last election, and we said it's the biggest election. Do we think that all the people that came out were fraudulent? What are we saying? And this was the most watched election that I can remember, and really, the Republicans were watching it. So I don't get how changing the voting laws that we had is going to help. Yes, we can tighten stuff up, say, yeah, we all have new IDs, so we have to change up how we present them. But my God, and Jim Crow laws, I want to explain why Joe said it. It's because Those were the laws that prevented people from doing things like voting or just walking along the sidewalk next to somebody who was white. These laws start to feel like that to people of a certain age and people of my age. I don't understand the changes, and maybe we'll get a better answer later on.
So gas prices are actually at an all-time high, and I was reading, and according to sources that I read, is actually a 40% increase as opposed to the normal standard rate we usually get over the years. I cannot recall, or I cannot remember the last time I paid $30+ in taxes. You guys are like, I don't have a huge car. My range that I spend in gas is like $20 total whenever I get a full tank, $26 total. So when it was over $30, and then I posted that community page post and y'all got pissed off on me, I was trolling and joking, but I was like, thanks, Biden. Well, I mean, it's not entirely Joe Biden's fault, and I do understand that Republicans like to reminisce the gas prices to the Democratic Party, but y'all, I cannot remember the last time I paid that much in gas, and I've been driving since I was like solo, since I was 16 years old. I've been driving for almost 13 years now, all right? So there was a 40% increase in gas, but I don't know if you guys recall, in like the 2000s, there wasn't up in gas. It wasn't that much. I think it was $1.35 a gallon at that time. Gas was really low. And I believe also during the Obama era, when Obama finished his term and the orange orangutan came in office in 2012, Republicans also chastised Barack Obama for the gas prices. But in reality, the reason why the gas prices are hard because of crude oil. And crude oil, so well over 50% of the price at the pump is directly tied to the cost of crude oil. And this is according to Washington Post. About 18% of the cost relates to state and federal taxes, the latter of which have not increased under Biden. About 15% stems from distribution and marketing, while 13% comes from refining costs and profits. You guys have to also consider it's Economics 101 is supply and demand. There is a high demand of gas, and baby, there's a shortage of supply of what's coming in. And so with that being said, there's going to be a high cost when your demand is high and your supply is not relatively that great, which explains why there's a 40% increase in gas. Why are we talking about gas when we're talking about voting on restriction laws? I really don't know, but this is, the Meghan McCain's talking point for today. You guys also have to remember that everyone was staying home during this pandemic, especially in the beginning. And you guys, I took advantage of that. Baby, I was on Uber Eats. When I tell you New Orleans was empty, New Orleans was a ghost town, and I was getting these high orders, and I was making that dinero, I was making that flusi, I was making that masadi, I was making that money. I just said money in 4 different languages. But yo, that money was good. And so when you just have all of a sudden all of these humans coming out at once, and the demand of gas is high and the supply is low, you're going to get high prices, okay? And so I'm going to read this quote. It says, oil demand was so low during the pandemic last year. Oil producers decreased their production levels. It takes time to ramp up production, so demand this year has increased far more quickly than production rates. That means there's less crude oil in storage, which pushes up the price of oil, making it more expensive to make gasoline. All right, Meghan McCain, all right? This is why you don't go to school and study art history. This is why you study business, economics, something, rather than that art major history degree. I don't know what that means. What did she learn about? Picasso, Beethoven, what? Baby, this is gas you're talking about here, and you sound so stupid talking about it on The View. And in terms of voting laws, I've always thought you would have to present an ID. I heard about voting with your mail. I did hear about that, but in the back of my mind, it's always been like ID, like put your ID, bring your ID, go in. I'm paranoid. I'm not about to send something in the mail, but I can definitely understand where a lot of people are coming from. But hey, if 76% of people are okay with the voting ID situation, that's okay. That's great. But I can understand that a lot of Black people, people of color, they don't have access to getting an ID, to even getting a social security card. Like I've even worked with people that didn't have proper identification. You know, when you apply for a job, they usually want 2 or more forms of identification to prove that you are a citizen of the United States. And so a lot of people cannot supply that, which in terms of they end up getting jobs where they get paid under the table as opposed to being put on the books. And so those are the people that are within that percentage, not the 76, the 24%, that really are not up there into speed with proper identifications. Wow, we went from like 3 states, Florida, Texas, and Georgia, to 17 in just a snap. And I'm just like, Jesus. And so when I was really looking at the rules towards these voter laws, I know that Governor DeSantis has made a justification or used this as a coy as to why he did it. He's like, I didn't do this because of the amount of Democratic people that attended these voting ballots. Actually, I did this without that because, you know, the Florida state has always been a red state. It's always been a Republican state. And actually, Republicans have, which I don't even think Ron DeSantis knows this, but a lot of Republicans that vote in Florida, a majority of them, about, I believe 46%, send in their mail-in ballots. You know, so that actually hurts him, you know, by putting into place no mail-in ballots into law. But with the whole Governor Kemp in Georgia, when I was trying to just like read why people of color are really just agitated as to this whole voting restrictions and everything, so I was like, well, I really don't think it's racist. But like I said, I talked about the voting IDs. I talked about the limitations of people not having a car to go get it, the proper paperwork, you know, just a lot of things, the timing, the transportation, and so on and so forth. And the fact that Governor Kemp even said, baby, y'all got to order Grubhub. Y'all ain't getting no food in line, waiting these 6 hours in line. Y'all better order Uber Eats or Grubhub. There ain't no free food coming in line. I thought that was really petty of him to do that, but whatever. But anyways, I don't know, y'all. Tell you the truth, I don't care. I don't care about this. Go and vote when you can. Get you a damn ID beforehand. You know, I mean, it's like there is more and more in the world to worry about. Paying your rent, paying your bills. Like, who gives a damn about what these politicians be doing? Please just subscribe and click the bell so you'll be the first to know when I upload. JOA TV, subscribe there. Patreon.com. Support your boy at Patreon.com. I really do appreciate it. Deuces. Yay!